ignore them, to simply hide behind different guises of misinformation or actual interference in democratic processes. But what brings us together is that we have the tools to address that. Have we always succeeded? No. Is it very difficult to enter the European Union and then so easy to forget all the rules that you signed up to once you're in? Yes. Have we had our failures? Yes. Has it sometimes taken us 10 years to adopt a fundamental social piece of legislation that has an immediate impact for the most vulnerable part of society? Do we still have too much of a gap between what women and men earn? Of course. But my answer to that is more Europe rather than less. My answer to that is let's go back to basics and make sure that people believe in politics again. In 2024, the European Parliament will have its next round of elections. These are fixed, so they can't move. Helpful. But we have a target, we have an aim, 2024. This country had a very high abstention rate in 2019. We need to increase that. It has become far too easy for the gap between disenchantment and engagement to grow. Not everybody's like you or me. I was like this when I was your age, excited about everything. But the excitement needs to be transformed into real, what you meant, purpose. And when you actually are in the world, in wherever you are, in whatever country, you need to make sure that change is the ultimate aim. And I think we have the tools, we have the manpower, we have the resources, we just have to use them better.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just have one last question for you before leaving you the stage. I was wondering what, in your opinion, is the role of Europe and the European Parliament on cross-actor cooperation. We are in a university, we have institutions, we have companies and civil society. And how does this relate to nowadays challenges? And also, how can we, to you right now, the people in the audience, the Purpose Generation, actually prepare to rethink those interactions to create better synergies?
Yeah, I think, and I was given an introduction of this institution, this organization when I came in, and the idea of modeling the way we educate to what is needed is far too recent. We have been living in societies, and this is where, when you mentioned our role in a global society, we have fallen behind when compared to other continents in targeting what our society needs and tailor-making what we teach and what we learn. And this in a time where truth and non-truths travel at the speed of light. This is at a time when the traditional way of receiving the news and understanding the challenges, the sources of which you are not aware of sometimes, where children don't read anymore, where punctuation is gone because you're texting again. This is a domestic, private, personal experience I have. My children don't write SMSs, text messages to me anymore because I correct the language when I send it back and I say, I will not answer until you write it correctly. But speed of light, at the same time, our younger generations are not having the time to think and analyze and able to address the challenges. So what you do, what you study, make sure it is applied. Make sure it is not forgotten. And make sure that you encourage your friends to discuss more, to be able to discuss more and challenge the stereotypes. And don't just take what politicians tell you for granted and think it's always correct. It's not always correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings this conversation to an end. Thank you so much there to Carlo, and thank you so much, Adriana. Great questions. And of course, great answers there from Roberta Metsola, the President of the European Parliament, who also reminded us about those important elections taking place in Europe in 2024. Roberta Metsola, I would like to leave you on stage. You can take to the podium if you like for the final speech, the keynote speech of the Estoril Conferences 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caros amigos. Thank you for having me here today in beautiful Portugal as the world gets closer to 200 days of war in Europe. As we close off intense discussions at this Estoril gathering, I've been asked to speak to you about the world ahead. I wonder if someone talking about the topic in 1945 would ever have imagined that in 2022, so many would have forgotten the consequences of nationalism, of populism, of right, of might. Or someone giving a speech in 1960 would ever have imagined that while we all connect instantly through our mobile phones, so many are more lonely than ever before, and that so much of our politics is more fragmented than ever before, that all the knowledge of the world would be accessible at our fingerprints online, and yet so many seem oblivious to the lessons of history. The 24-hour constant stream of news, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook would make many less impacted, less caring, not more. That fake news or disinformation would literally travel the world at the speed of light. I wonder if someone addressing a crowd in 1990, after the fall of the wall, would have imagined that the foundations of the liberal democracy that ended decades of fear, of lost generations of oppression, would ever be called into question again. Or that despite all the warnings, the world would keep overheating, that our rivers would start to evaporate and our forests combust. Or that women would still earn less than men. Or that while we are the wealthiest society in history, the gap between those who have and those who have not remains too wide. Or that tanks would roll across European borders again. Now, I paint a picture that on the face of it seems bleak, but it's not. It is my attempt at a clarion call for change, a catalyst to activism. I've seen so much in the past 2 days I've been here, to shake up our role in society. And it is my appeal to all of you to find your voice and speak out. The world ahead is one that only we can create together. Destiny is never predetermined, it is forged. The project that we call the European Union was created to answer the issues our people faced. It was our so-called future-proof way of ensuring that the world would remain focused on striving for justice, equality of opportunity, and real democracy. It took enormous courage to dream of a European Union, but it took much more to make it real. It was the dreamers who did that, who created this bastion of rights and circle of trust, of economic openness and pluralism. And dear friends, despite